Hello, I am Simulated Erk and welcome back to Train Simulator. Today we are doing something a little bit different and we're in Japan and we shouldn't be there. We're in Japan, we are about to run a train service and we're about to run all stations. We're at Morokia, I think. That's where we are right now. Let's see if we can find our train. Our cabin's right there. Let's have a look around the cabin first. We need to find... I believe we need to find our train lights. Why we're there, I don't know. But here we are. Hang on. Let's adjust the camera maybe. So there's our train. Now, I see here that the train lights do absolutely nothing, so maybe I have to find them. Now, I don't know... ATS confirm, that's a good button to know. We'll go put it into forward. We'll take our brakes out of emergency. Headlight switch. Did that work? No. Hang on, that clicked then, so that may have worked. Let's have a look. No, although that's the back of our train. Or is it? Very hard to tell at the moment because, oh, there's our nice, wonderful face. So, headlight dimmer. Cab light and menu. Hang on, let's turn our cab light on. Alright, let's zoom into this button. Headlight switch. So our reverser is in forward. There we go, we got some train lights. Alright. Alright, let's get in our train. And... so there's our train. Our doors are closed. Now, what is it? A 2-carriage electric multiple unit. Alright, so let's go, shall we? Brakes off. A little bit of horn. And we're away. Now we're stopping at all, we're running an all station service today. .45 km/h speed limit. Oh, we're speeding. So it's always good when there's a new Japanese route. We have done some Japanese episodes before. So we're coming up to 100 km/h zone. There's no way we'll make that at the moment running all stations. So, whoops. So it sounds pretty good. Just under a kilometre to go before our next station. Now, we're only a 2-carriage train and we look like we're on local tracks now, so we'll see how much room we have to play with. I can't quite see the platform yet, although it is coming up. Green signal there. So I won't really know yet, because I'm doing this sight unseen, how long this platform is. It's fairly long for the size of our train. Now I'm presuming we should pull up close to station buildings. So yes, this is a long platform. May not always be the case though. Oh, this is a super long platform for a 2-carriage train. So we'll just go to the overhead bridge. Those birds are chirping rather loudly in my ear. Now it still says that I've got 0.3 kilometres remaining before the station stop. See if we can get a view of our doors closing. Doors are closing, doors are closed. Let's get in the cab. Brakes off. And power on. 3 kilometres, almost 4 kilometres to go before our next stop. So there are carriage markers on the left hand side that I can see. Not being Japanese, I don't know what everything means. Good acceleration. Says that I did an operational error, but I don't know what that operational error is. I wasn't speeding and I didn't have the brakes in emergency. Maybe I didn't horn at a level crossing or something. There's another one. So I haven't watched any videos yet, so this might explain what I'm doing incorrectly. So 5 notches of power, rapid acceleration, just bring the power back to 0. Now at the moment I'm concentrating on the electric multiple unit. There are actually 2 very different types . There are actually 2 very different types of train on this route that will be able to drive. Station's coming up, so we'll put some brakes on in a minute. Now I haven't seen one yet, so we'll go a little bit further and see if we can actually see the other train on the route. Station's coming up rather rapidly, so we'll put some brakes on rather rapidly and we'll check out the braking. Now I've got my usual standard of how fast I like to arrive at a platform, but it depends on the local conditions and also the train. So there's one of our counterparts coming in the opposite direction. See if we can spot the 2-car marker if there is one. I did spot a 4-car marker before at the previous station. And there it goes. So there are 2-car markers there. And overall, not too bad. So not too bad so far. Those birds are very chirpy, aren't they? Alright. Doors are closing. And, oops, not into emergency. Now our next platform is 4.5 kilometres away, so what we can do, bring it up to speed. Then we can have a look and see how this train runs and how it looks from the outside. So that's the back view. So we'll see our train approaching now. Now I often get in trouble when I go outside. Hang on, it helps if I press the right buttons. Oh, yep, I'm speeding. Whoops. I went... See, I told you I get in trouble when I go outside, so we'll just let the train come to a stop. Because I accidentally knocked it into neutral as well, which really shouldn't be able to happen. I'm going to have to write a rather serious apology letter to my simulated shift manager after that performance. But I did say that things happen and I get in trouble when I go outside. So we're pretty much coming up to speed, just about to hit 70 kilometres an hour. Still got 2 kilometres to go for our next station. Now for many, many years, people in Train Simulator World have been calling for a bullet train or a Shinkansen. And now, finally, in Train Simulator 22, we do have one that is available. And we may see one on this episode. The track that you can see to the left-hand side of us, the elevator track to the left-hand side of us, this would be where the Shinkansen, the bullet train, goes. But we're on the local tracks. But I did have to, I thought I should at least start with this journey. Platform coming up. At least I'm not powering. See how good the brakes are. See how good the brakes are. Shouldn't have went into emergency, I guess. But how good are the brakes? Seriously, there's the 2-car marker. There's a lady waiting at the 4-car marker. It's probably not the best stop in Japanese railway history. But it's also a fantastic illustration of how good the brakes are on this thing. Oops. Alright, let's get our cabin back into order. And let's take the brakes off. And let's apply power. So even though we are all stationed, some of them are 3, 4, 5 kilometres apart. And that's just basically a case of I forgot where I am and how quickly the next platform's approaching. Now, a lot of people know the railways of Tokyo and also the Shinkansen, of course, but there's lots of little railways around various parts of Japan that perform a service just like this that have no connection with Tokyo, except that the Shinkansen, which is usually the case, brings passengers from Tokyo to wherever this system is, and then they can connect with it. And the amount of infrastructure that had to be created to separate the Shinkansen to these more local lines is clearly evident on the left hand side, and we'll see that on the next episode when we take it for a spin. So platform coming up in just over 1 kilometre's time. I don't know any of the landmarks. I can't read any signs that are in Japanese. And I haven't got my braking routine down pat just yet. But I know from the last stop that it can brake pretty well. Okay, there's the arrival end. Well, that's a bridge. I was looking for a platform. I thought that was the platform, but it's not. You can tell I'm a bit rusty in Train Simulator world, can't you? And it also goes to illustrate the importance of route knowledge, knowing where your stations are, that sort of thing, knowing your braking points. So far we haven't really seen a short platform. They've all been long ones. There's the 2-car marker. And all of a sudden we've arrived at the 6-car marker. I didn't say a 4-car marker. See if we can get a good side-on view of the doors closing. The Shinkansen line directly above us now in this camera view. Alright, doors are closing. And brakes coming off. Power applying. And it doesn't take a lot to get this train moving very quickly. Now, because of the height difference between the local lines that we're running on and the Shinkansen to the left-hand side, I don't know if we're actually going to be able to see one. There's one of our local compatriots. Still got 2 kilometres to go, but I didn't want to exceed the 100 km/h speed limit. Green lights all the way so far. Alright, we'll see if we can see the platform a little bit better this time. Not confuse it with a bridge in the distance. Kilometre to go now. So we're not powering, we're just coasting. Alright, platform coming up. Let's just start putting some brake on. And this platform seems shorter than the rest. There's a 2-car marker. Now the distance indicator is seemingly just marking the distance to the departure end of the platform, not necessarily where the carriage marker is for your particular train. Brakes off. So that platform can hold 6 carriage trains. Next platform is in 1.8 kilometres, so we still have time to bring it up to 100 kilometres an hour, considering the acceleration that we've got. Not an emergency. I don't know if we're going to pull up. Okay, that's our wipers. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. So it looks like we made the platform quite easy on the end. I'm still not used to the acceleration and the braking. I haven't got my routine of where I should be braking for these stations yet. Five and a half kilometres. Oh, this was a super long platform as it turned out. 6 carriage train and plenty of room to spare. So we'll just bring our speed down now, and we'll just coast. For an all stations train, this train's going pretty quick. Bridge. Seeing as how we've got an opportunity with a long time in between stations, it's a good side-on view of our train. So you don't have a lot of time in between. You got to be really precise with your power movements, because there seems to be a lot of speed in this train that it can go more than 100 kilometers an hour. That's for sure. 1.5 kilometres to go. Alright, so we're not powering. It's one of our offsiders. If we go straight into it without going into emergency, wow, just look at how quick this pulls up. Long platform certainly helping. We may have been fractionally too late on the brake. And our passengers are going to be annoyed. See how far away we are. So there's not even the customary, get myself out of the trays, the customary yellow line ends right there, so obviously more room to stop. So I just need to adjust where I actually put the brakes on from. So let's watch it leave the station. So 5.5 kilometres before we arrive at the Hanamaiki airport. So it looks like the general rule is 100 kilometres an hour on this line. So we'll just wipe off the power now. An operational error. I don't know what the operational error was. Oops. I know we've let our speed drop. Maybe that was our operational error. Unless you put it in like a really low notch, that provides just a little bit of power, but the speed's still increasing just in 2 knots, so we'll just bring it off to 0. So we don't have to worry about shutting off. We just have to worry about putting the brakes on at the right time. So maybe 500 metres before the platform. Although it can be deceptive because they are along the platforms. Brake now. Brake hard. Now it looks like here that the end of the platform isn't the marker this time for how long you've got to go before the platform. See, we came in way too slow on that occasion. So there's our 2-car marker. We're just a little bit past it, and I didn't mean to go into emergency. So I haven't seen any planes yet. We'll wait for the doors to close. Hanamaki Air platform in 5.5, just over 5.5 kilometres. And again, this is an all-station service. Doesn't seem to be too much point in applying power. On. So sometimes it does ping me for not blowing my horn at the level crossing by the looks of that. Does that mean you have to blow your horn when you go over bridges too? Basically, when you see an X for crossing, that's when you're supposed to blow your horn, I think. 2 kilometres to go now. I do have to say, it's basically like an afterthought, because where you have to blow the horn seemingly is so close to the level crossing anyway, that by the time you blow the horn you're basically on the crossing, so there's no real advance warning anyway. 1.5 kilometres to go before our next stop. So we're just letting our speed come down. I'm not bothering to keep up to our line speed, because we are approaching the station. Even though it still looks relatively flat, we have lost 30 kilometres an hour of line speed. So there probably is some marker, apart from seeing the platform where you're supposed to brake. Is this going to be our best stop yet? Keeping in mind, of course, I don't know Japanese. I don't know where this is. I've never driven it. Ah, there's the 2-car marker. What I think is a 2-car marker. Yes, it's a 2-car marker. Alright. Best stop ever. There's one of our colleagues in the opposite direction. Did he stop? He stopped all the way down there by the looks of it. Alright, our next platform's in almost 8 kilometres away. Now, I could be wrong, but this could be the last station in the scenario. An operational error. I don't know what that operational error was. The sounds are pretty good. Never been to this part of Japan, so I don't know, but I presume this is what it looks like. See, I didn't blow my horn over that oval crossing. I didn't get an operational error. Actually, what we'll do for the sake of this exercise, we'll just keep on going and see how hard we can go before it puts on the emergency brake. See if we can find out what the capacity of this is. Okay, 114 kilometers an hour. So we found that out. So let's go into forward. So not a massive tolerance. Actually, it'd be interesting to put this on one of the Chinese high-speed routes or even on the Shinkansen route and just to see in free play how fast it can actually go. Still got 4 kilometers to go. That would be a very interesting exercise which we might do on another episode. Because one of the questions I often get asked is, how fast does the train go? And in many instances, it's not necessarily how fast the train can go, it's how fast the speed limit actually is. Like, I'm sure these tracks are good for a lot more than 100 kilometers an hour, but that's the speed that has been allocated. Because sometimes you've got the train's top speed, then you've got what they're limited to in service, and then you've got whatever the track speed is. Now there may be things that I've missed. We'll have to at some stage, now that I've actually gone on the route, I'll probably wait until after I do the Shinkansen episode next. And then we'll watch a video or two and maybe pick up some tips and do things a little bit better, who knows. But all of this is sight unseen. Actually, we might just pick up the speed just for the sake of the exercise. It'll let us do it. So we're back to 100 kilometre an hour speed limit. Just under a kilometre to go before the platform. Can't quite see the platform yet. Now I can see the platform. Might be too late. Let's see. There goes the 2-car marker. There goes the 6-car marker. There goes the yellow line. Oh, we're just off. So let's have a look. We're just off. There's the end of our train. Oh, all of our doors are still on the platform. Just. So it actually hasn't recognized that we're still on the platform, so we can't actually open the doors. That's interesting. So we've got 4.5 kilometres to go, so let's just watch from this angle for a while. Actually, let's rotate it around a bit. Probably not the best angle. Kaitakami, I think, is the name of our next station, and it may indeed be the last station. In just under 4 kilometres. Uh-oh, I'm speeding because I forgot to shut off. Put some brakes on, otherwise we'll have to pull up again. Okay, there's a 55 kilometre an hour speed limit coming up here. Got a little bit of time before we get to it, so we'll just release the brakes for now. According to the map diagram, we're going downhill. That can be sometimes hard in 2D to figure out. Just start to put some brakes on for the new speed zone of 55. So we haven't come to the 55 sign yet, but we are close to it. Wonder if actually I recognise it when we pass it. Right, there's the 55 board. Relatively slow speed approach. I wonder if that bird's actually chirping me to tell me that I'm going too slow. Alright, 2-car marker coming up. And we have arrived. And we have arrived at our final destination. Now, I'm not sure when it's going to break away and tell me how I did, but we have arrived. And there we go. I've been Simulated Erk, you've been wonderful. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now. Hope you enjoyed that little bit of Japanese railroad.